T-Sippers, what it do? What it do? Let's go, T-Sippers, let's go. Hey, what it do? Try to get this situated. Hey. Do I even need to say it's a lot going on? Do I even need to say it? It's a lot going on. And at this point, I don't know what to think. I know what to think, but I don't know what to think. So much deception. Oh my God. And I just don't know what people thought it was going to be with Trump. He's a convicted felon 32, 33 times over. You know what I mean? Let me see. Let me see that one. He is a whole convicted felon. 20, 30, 32, 33, 34 times over. What do we expect? And now you're going and talk to Ghislaine Maxwell. And I don't know if y'all watched that upload I did about the, what is it called? Oversight Committee. What's her name? Summer Breeze. Summer. Where they did that vote for the subpoena. Blind side, you know. They thought that they was gonna leave, you know, go home early. Yeah. And then they voted. So now they done sent somebody from the Trump. They say the DOJ, but hell, they say he a deputy something, and typically would be going to meet with her. And why he going to meet with her? But we gonna see. We gonna see what they say, if they gonna come back and pardon. And I hope everybody, and I do mean everybody, I don't care what party you are a part of, if he pardons her and his name mysteriously leaves, or if she say, oh no, not Donald, we know she lying and she been paid off. But that means that he is still a part of the child trafficking. We are not going to play dumb with dum-dum no more. What was his IQ when he went into the military academy? 73. Yeah, I was like 73. I remember. I think I remember a long time ago when my mama tricked me into going to Catholic school. Tricked you? Yeah. That's how I feel about it. I had to take an IQ test. And I know I was a bad little old girl, but I've always had some sense. I just tend to sometimes play a little slow just to see how people what they gonna do. You know, anyway, to thy own self be true. But I remember they was quite shocked at my IQ at like 100 and something. And I was in elementary, like 4th, 5th grade, something like that. So when I heard or read the Hills was like 70 something, I was like, what? How old was he? That's elementary, right? Uh, I said, oh, okay, no wonder. So that's not an act. You know, AunTeaFee, you always trying to play dumb sometimes. That ain't no act. That's what that is. Unless, no, I ain't finna make no excuses for Donald Trump. You know what I mean? Y'all hit the like button coming in. Hit the like button coming in. So, his people are there in Florida talking to Ghislaine Maxwell. Probably trying to get into her head and throw some winky winks. Baby, because when I tell you the information, gems are being dropped every day. And when I say every day, I do mean every day. You understand? Something is being dropped every day. Understand that. So let me hear this. The DOJ to meet with Epstein associate. Yeah, here they already there. Evil DOJ abuse. Yeah, we done been abused. Let's listen.
Reporting in our colleagues at the White House, Monica Alvin.
Oh, and let me say this.
So that's who's.
Let me say this. I want to go back to what I listened to last night. I really do. Because in that upload with that lady, what's her name? Summer Lee. Summer Lee said, it was the guy. It was the guy who was interviewed. It was the victim's attorney who prosecuted her. He said she was hit twice, I think he said, for perjury, for lying on the witness stand when she was convicted. I said, so she's a liar. So now what are we talking to her about? We just need evidence because she will lie. That's why I got perjury up there. I want her not to forget. She's a perjurer. She will lie. So can what? Will she lie? Because she had to have lied for Epstein. Who did she, or herself? Well, who she lie for? So you didn't take ownership of nothing you did before. Is that what they're trying to tell us, y'all? So are they playing in our face, or I don't know if they're playing in our face this time, because it was the Republicans who voted for that subpoena. I think they tired of him. I think he done went too far. I think it is not easy for you to explain how a convicted felon 32, 33 times over is sitting president, and we expect for him to do right by the people. He think we work for him. Did I lose you? He don't think that he has to abide by any type of rules, guidelines, constitution, nothing. He is going to put money back into his pockets because we know that he was good at conning and acting like he was a real good businessman. But I heard that he is real good at filing for bankruptcy. I've said this before. He's really good at conning. So that means he's really good at being deceptive. Forging numbers, moving numbers. He's good at moving numbers. So was Make America Great Again about moving numbers, lining the good old boys' pockets and getting you know, sending folk back where they came from. Is that what that was about? I'm just asking. And they say Gorilla done got her ass locked up. But I was saying to myself, didn't she get arrested not too long ago? Is that news? Rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. Is that really news? No, that's not a good one. So this whole time, he been lying on Barack Obama. He already knew his ass was all over. I mean, but we knew that, right? I'm just a little confused on what we doing, good people. I mean, we knew this. What part of it did what? We should have known something was wrong when this red man right here, orange, whatever, he look pink right here, he changing colors. I wasn't supposed to say that. He done changed his base. He done got rid of that orange and now he look pink. Or is that the stress of knowing? Ooh, baby, when I tell you something, when you be about to expose a narcissist, oh my goodness. I don't think he gonna be able to make it, y'all. If he get really exposed. Mm-mm. And I'm gonna be honest, he shouldn't be able to pardon nobody who is charged, have any charge, affiliation, or association with any type of human trafficking, especially child minors trafficking. That should not even be an option, especially if you are tied to it. How dare you have no regards to the victims? You just don't care. You just don't care. And when I hear you talk about men been doing that for years, hundreds and millions of years, doing what you want to do to females. But anyway, let's listen.
The interview. The question is, what's going to come out of it? By the way, we should mention that Blanche has said on a podcast.
Okay, so Tom, as we anticipate, the DOJ will be meeting with Maxwell today.
They are meeting now.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. First off, it's going to be Todd Blanche, who's the Deputy Attorney General, who's going to be at this meeting, according to our reporting and our colleagues at the White House.
So does that mean that the Attorney General Bondi, who lied for Trump, he done threw her ass up under the bus, baby? I don't know why these females let him tell them how beautiful she's beautiful, all the beautiful ladies, and they fall for that banana in the tailpipe shit, and then he turned right around and throw their asses up under the bus. He said, oh no, she ain't tell me shit. She ain't tell me nothing. She lying. She's lying. She didn't know. So you knew. So is that why she not going to talk to Ghislaine? Because she already know we can't trust her? Because she done already got busted by Wall Street Journal? Y'all should have left these people alone. And I just saw Diddy getting another lawsuit, baby. He knew Miami was coming, y'all. I keep telling y'all that. That's why he let go of Maureen. Cormy. He know these people know he's dirty. He know that. And it was probably the Attorney General. Because who did Maureen Comey report to? Who did she report to? That's why I said the other day, y'all remember I couldn't go to sleep. I'm like, if she wouldn't have got fired, how would she have been able to slide that through knowing that what's going to come up? She already knew he was in there. She already knew. It was just a matter of time. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
And Kristen Welker. So that's who's going to be doing the interview. The question is, what's going to come out of it? By the way, we should mention that Blanche has said on a podcast that he's friends with Maxwell's attorney, so he certainly knows the counsel here. I just want to read to you a couple of quotes that have come out of court filings or in court proceedings over the last couple of years. The defendant's willingness to brazenly lie under oath about her conduct, including some of the conduct charged in the indictment, strongly suggests her true motive has been and remains to avoid being held accountable for her crimes. This coming from a judge. Ms. Maxwell today acknowledged the courage of the victims, talked about the pain and anguish they expressed, to some extent acknowledged the pain and suffering. What wasn't expressed was acceptance and responsibility. That was at the sentencings for Ghislaine Maxwell, the judge who oversaw her criminal case. So prosecutors, the judge, all acknowledging either a lack of truthfulness here from Ghislaine Maxwell in the past, or somebody who hasn't accepted responsibility for their crimes. Remember, in the course of the search warrant that was executed, in the course of her arrest at the New Hampshire home, she apparently used a false name to purchase that home. Agents, once they got past her private security, actually had to break in through the house because she was looking out at the agents, refused to come forward. And then they found her cell phone wrapped in tinfoil in what was really kind of a haphazard and ham-handed attempt to avoid surveillance, according to the court paperwork at the time.
She did what?
Whose relationship with talked about the pain and anguish they expressed, to some extent acknowledged.
So she just a straight up con, just like her daddy.
Was acceptance and responsibility. That was at the sentencings for Ghislaine Maxwell, the judge who oversaw her criminal case. So prosecutors, the judge, all acknowledging either a lack of truthfulness here from Ghislaine Maxwell in the past, or somebody who hasn't accepted responsibility for their crimes. Remember, in the course of the search warrant that was executed, in the course of her arrest at the New Hampshire home, she apparently used a false name to purchase that home. Agents, once they got past her private security, actually had to break in through the house because she was looking out at the agents, refused to come forward. And then they found her cell phone wrapped in tinfoil in what was really kind of a haphazard and ham-handed attempt to avoid surveillance, according to the court paperwork at the time. So this is somebody whose relationship with the truth, including the initial 2 charges of perjury in the indictment against her, that she lied in the course of a deposition, a civil deposition that was taken in 2016. Somebody who prosecutors and others associated with the case have said has a real problem with the truth. What she offers today is really a big question. And the fact that investigators went through all of her background and past and chose not to engage in a plea negotiation with her, we know that from statements in court, and she didn't ask for a plea negotiation or a plea deal initially either in the course of her case or at any time. So it really raises a question as to exactly what this meeting is all about.
And so, Susan, if you are the person doing the questioning, what are the key questions to ask when you approach Maxwell, and would you have concerns about her credibility?
Well, the key questions to ask are, is there any new information on the one hand? And on the other, what can you tell us about what is in those sealed proceedings that the judge has decided cannot be unsealed after the DOJ asked for them to be unsealed? Her lips are not sealed. She can speak. And so if people want to get at what's in those proceedings, ask Ghislaine. Now, is she going to be truthful? Well, on the one hand, she has nothing to lose. She's been sitting in prison for 5 years. She, I would believe, wants to get out, wants to cut a deal, wants leniency. On the other hand, she hasn't shown herself to be truthful or credible in the past. But what she tells us now is going to be very easily corroborated by external evidence, part of what's in the DOJ files and other evidence that's available to investigators now.
So could she cut some kind of a deal retroactively? So if she gives new information, if she is helpful to shining new light, could she stand to benefit in some way?
Yeah, she could ask to be resentenced. She could ask to have her sentence modified. She could ask for leniency. She could ask for better conditions in prison. But she could also face new prosecution if she talks about new evidence that could reveal new crimes. So she could take the fifth, and it would be a big zero.
Hold on,
Or
y'all. I
she
think
could
we got
be
some breaking. Hold on.
It's
Hold on. Hold on. I'm seeing some movement up here on another device. Let's see what this is. Oh, this is, where is he
Jerome
at?
Powell wearing a hard hat.
Well, thank you very much. We're looking at the construction, and we're with the chairman, as you know. Chairman, come on
Is
over.
he in Florida?
And we're just taking a look at what's happening. You know,
Oh,
it's
no.
It's a tough construction job there.
Oh,
Building
no.
basements where they didn't exist or expanding them, and a lot of very expensive work. There's no question about it.
They not giving, they don't change his makeup, y'all, for real.
Time, and you're in charge of the committee.
Indeed, one of the reasons I wanted to see it was the overruns of the.
Oh, they got him with a brother.
Why?
So we're taking a look, and it looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
Better. Oh, I see Secret Service, I think.
He in there lying.
Look at this. They're coming in.
He done got busted lying.
Wow.
He said it done increased.
Very much. We're looking at the construction, and we're with the chairman, as you know. Chairman, come on over.
He done got busted
We're
lying.
just taking a look at what's happening. You know, it's a tough construction job there. Building basements where they didn't exist, or expanding them, and a lot of very expensive work. There's no
Watch
question
him.
about it.
Watch him.
And Tim has been with me for a long time, and you're in charge of the committee.
Indeed, one of the reasons I wanted to see it was the overruns of the expenses. Wanted to figure out why.
So we're taking a look, and it looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot.
He looking like
So
what?
the
No, it don't.
2.7
No,
is
it's not.
now
He
3.1.
said he.
And
Jerome
we're-
Powell shaking his head.
It just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
It just came out.
So he lying.
That's Fed Chair Powell right there shaking his head. They're arguing about this.
3.2. This came from us.
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added.
Our entire capital.
You just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building.
Well,
including
no,
the
but
Martin building.
it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished
Wow.
5 years ago.
Wow.
Overall work.
But
So,
it's not new.
He done
We're
got.
gonna take a look. We're gonna
Did
see
he
what's
just
happening.
get busted stealing?
Got a long way. Do you expect any more additional cost over?
Did he just get busted stealing?
We're ready for them, but we have a little bit of a reserve.
Y'all, did he just get busted
No, we don't.
stealing
Expect to be finished in 2027.
from the people? Adding something.
So,
It's not new.
so we're gonna take a look. We're gonna see what's happening. And it's.
Y'all, he
got a
just
long
got
way. Do you
busted
expect any more
stealing
additional-
from the people.
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added.
Our entire capital.
You just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building.
Well,
including
no,
the
but
Martin building.
it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished
Wow.
5 years ago.
It's getting
Part of
spicy.
the overall work.
But
So,
it's not new.
So
He
we're gonna
said
take
it's
a look.
not new.
We're gonna see what's happening.
Hey, Janet. Oh my
it's
God.
Got a long way. Do you expect any more additional cost over?
He wasn't expecting that.
Don't expect them. We're ready for them, but we have a little bit of a reserve that we may use, but no, we don't. Expect to be finished in 2027. We're well along, as you can see.
He got busted.
Nice to take these off every once in a while when we're not under too much danger. So, any questions?
Mr. President,
As a real estate developer, what would you do with a project manager who?
Oh, I don't want to. He done got busted lying.
President Trump and Jerome Powell arguing over how much it was costing to do the renovations there at the Fed. But again, we're supposed to be getting more video.
Every time Trump
Because the
opened
White
his
House is
mouth,
supposed
he
to have
lying.
video. And they haven't actually started their video.
Didn't I just
Now, I
say
might
he
be
really
wrong,
good at
But the
changing
White House
numbers?
has a live stream up. We're going to have to watch that again. Should we watch that again? Let's watch that again while we're, let's watch that again while we're waiting for the White House video, which is supposedly coming.
Yeah, that's what I
Maybe
thought.
not-
We was
it's weird,
watching
the White
double
House has a live
coverage
stream going, but they
of
didn't show it.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Maybe he'll say something after.
And
but I
he
wanna
done
show you
played
that was,
him-
That was the Reuters feed.
A lawyer's
Reuters
fee.
says further live coverage is expected. See? All right, let me just clip what we have.
Yeah, I was not
Yeah.
expecting that. He just got busted lying. Stealing.
And then I'm gonna, while we're waiting for the rest, I'm gonna show you that. But that was really something.
You ain't never lied.
I gotta see it again.
Agenda free.
Thank you so much, by the way. As we wait, I'm gonna show you this in a second.
Janet.
Rod Remix, Catachuman, Aussie Metal Mate. Thank you.
I'm just too
Dennis
done.
Michael Kennedy.
Come on, play that again.
Ariane 3407, thanks for the gift memberships. And thank you
Come on, play it
to
again,
everybody
sir.
for tuning in as we cover this. Thanks Tanner Toxicity and Turned Off as well. And
That man started shaking his head. No.
777.
They just not. They
We're
really
waiting
are
for the
not
new
going
video,
along.
But I'm going to show you what we just saw. It was really something.
It was. If you ain't never lied.
Okay, let's see here. Do I have it here?
What Trump?
Download yet? I have to download it here. Get rid of this stuff. Too much on my desktop right now.
This mind blowing, y'all. He just never ceases to amaze me. And they playing it everywhere.
Again, there's supposed to be more live video coming up. I guess they're walking around right now.
I wanted to hear about Maxwell, baby. He over here hustling. Every day I'm hustling.
Let me pull this up for you. Here we go. We're going to watch this again.
It's taking you too long, sir. It's taking.
I did not expect to see them arguing like that.
I didn't either. I ain't gonna even lie. But I have it here, sir. It's taking you too long.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added. You just added in a third building. Is what that is.
You
That's
just-
a third building.
He said, I know, but.
No, it's been-
And then he yanked it out of his
We
hand.
finished Martin 5 years ago.
And then he yanks the paperwork. He said, I know.
The overall conversation.
Watch him yank it out of his hand.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added. You just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building.
It's a building that's being built.
No, it was built. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall. So amazing. The handlers are Los Angeles District Attorney's supervising victim service representative Ashley Myers. The Bureau of Services representative Emmy Coleman, and Bureau of Services representative Paulina Bernard. These handlers themselves are incredible because they are with the dogs as the dogs are with the victims, and they go with the victims.
Right now, they're at the White House, and new comments from President Trump here on social media saying he's getting ready to head over to the Fed to look at their now $3.1 billion construction project.
Yeah, he
Also,
know his
President
ass
will
is
be
in
Fed
trouble,
chair
and he
from
done
House Senator Tim Scott,
raised
Senator
the
Tom
price
Tillis, OB,
to line his
Director
pockets.
spoke Chairman Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and different officials there and other construction professionals. So this is going to be something we're going to dive into as soon as it pops up. To get some more understanding, let's bring in right now friend from Market Watch, Rob Schroeder. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And this is a very important meeting, a surprise meeting, an unusual meeting. What do we make of this meeting, and will Jerome Powell speak to President Trump? What do we expect from this?
Yeah, Andy, good afternoon. Well, this is certainly an interesting one here on the radar for Fed watchers, Trump watchers, Washington watchers. This had been a scheduled meeting, but only last night did the president say that he was going to be joining it. Of course, this comes after his pretty relentless campaign here of pressure on the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, to lower.
He tried to set
rates.
Jerome Powell
This
up.
visit doesn't have to do with monetary policy, and it's unclear the extent to which the chairman will be present, in President Trump's words. But it's certainly another step up here, ratcheting up of this pressure campaign on the Fed as an institution and on Powell as an individual, who President Trump has very clearly expressed his dislike for his policy decisions.
And this also comes as they're potentially looking for a reason to move on from Powell. His term does end.
He tried to set him up.
And they're saying that construction has the price tag now up to $3.1 billion. How much do you think they'll harp on that, if at all, today?
Certainly, I think President Trump is going there to put a visual through television cameras and through reports from journalists on this sort of massive construction project, which, like many construction projects, has changed over the years. The Fed's own staff, in fact, said that tariffs and inflation have raised the cost of renovations at the headquarters. At least the New York Times was reporting that earlier today. So I don't think that the Fed is denying that the cost has gone up with this. However, it is an important building, an important role in the global economy, the U.S. economy, and these renovations are going to continue. The pictures are there for all to see. So I think what President Trump here is going to try to accomplish is to have a close look at it, and really just to once again raise the temperature on Chairman Powell over this issue that is in a very visual sort of way.
Yeah, these are not just renovations. They may be restorations to a building that is aging significantly, and that is potentially why that price tag continued to rise. Almost a little bit poetic to see it being risen due to tariffs as well. Rob, I do want to ask you, because you mentioned this meeting was on the books. I'm going to put up this post one more time just to talk about some of the characters, because Tim Scott, Tom Tillis, OMB Director Russ Vought, the chairman of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, are those characters, are those players the ones that were on the books for this meeting? Is that typical?
Yes, in fact, Andy, some of those names who you mentioned there, particularly Bill Pulte, and Russ Vought were the original invitees or the ones pushing for this meeting.
He tried to set Powell up.
Names were expected. What was not expected, as I mentioned earlier, was that the president himself
And yanked the paper out of his
would
hand
join
and
this
gave it
meeting.
to the
But
black guy.
again, I think it's an opportunity to put a visual fine point on these arguments that he has been making. So I think in some ways not a surprise to see him joining in this pretty high profile visit.
And we know some of these conversations, like you mentioned, talking about renovations, that budget, but also the upcoming meeting by the Fed. And there has been continuing talk, and President Trump has labeled Jerome Powell as too late for his stubbornness, potentially refusal to drop some interest rates, as Trump believes that they should be dropped. How much of a conversation will they have about that? And is there any potential that they could sway or change Jerome Powell's mind in terms of lowering some of those by a significant margin?
I think if they were to have that discussion, it would be one way. The president is well aware of the Fed's independence, and he's made his thoughts on interest rates and monetary policy very well known. Now, Chairman Powell, on the other hand, is very much loyal to the Fed's independence, the institution of the Fed. I don't believe that he would go talking about these sensitive discussions outside of his purview, really. So while the president may try to make that sort of conversation happen, I don't believe personally that it would get very far because that's just not what the Fed sees, and really by law is its purview, which is to be independent.
Yeah, and can we get into the historical nature, because it hasn't been since George W. Bush back in 2006, I believe, as a sitting president, to visit the Fed, to visit that, as you mentioned, institute that is so independent, the central bank. How much historic is this? Can you put some context to that? How much have they separated presidents from the Fed in the past?
Yeah, quite. The Wall Street Journal's Fed reporter, Nick Timmerose, earlier noted, I think it was he who did it first, that only 3 presidents have visited the Fed, the last one being, as you mentioned, George W. Bush. And these were really on friendly terms. I think, if memory serves, one of them was when this current building opened, and that was quite a long time ago. So this is a pretty extraordinary event, and in the past, those visits were friendly, as I mentioned. So this is, I think, not friendly, and it's designed really to put maximum visual pressure on a topic that the president has otherwise talked about in his own settings, one way, and to his supporters and followers on social media.
Yeah, and he's, like you mentioned, raising the temperature, turning up the heat a little bit on Jerome Powell. As we were watching this, potentially this could happen in the next hour or so, as it's supposed to be right now at this time at 4 o'clock Eastern. Let's talk about what just happened as the closing bell ringing, as market dipped some 316 points from corrections being made right now.
In 2027, we're well along, as you can see.
Nice to take these.
Next week is not expected to cut rates.
I'm trying to get back to it so I can get back over to Ghislaine Maxwell and them files, because this right here is a bunch of fracking bull.
All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. Let's quickly take you out to the Federal Reserve. President Trump there alongside Jerome Powell. Let's listen in to their conversation.
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added entire capital. You just added in a third building. That's what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But
So,
it's not new.
So we're going to take a look.
He
We'll
lied.
see what's happening, and it's got a long way. Do you expect any more additional cost overruns?
Don't expect them. We're ready for them, but we have a little bit of a reserve that we may use, but no, we don't. Expect to be finished in 2027. We're well along, as you can see.
Nice to take these off every once in a while.
He just lied to make it seem, oh my
Any
God.
questions?
Oh.
As a real estate developer, what would you do with a project manager who would be over budget?
Generally speaking, what would I do? I'd fire him.
Do you think he was the president using
I'd fire him.
Well, I'm here just really with the chairman. He's showing us around, showing us the work. And so I don't want to get that. I don't want to be personal. I just would like to see it get finished. And in many ways, it's too bad it started. But it did start. And it's been under construction for a long time. It's going to be a real long time, because it looks like it's got a long way to go. Yes, sir. So.
President, are there things the chairman can say to you today that would make you back off some of the earlier criticism?
Well, I'd love him to lower interest rates. But other than that, what can I tell you? The country's doing really well. I just briefed the chairman on the deal.
Oh, quit lying. Quit lying.
He's
Oh.
putting up $550 billion in order to lower their tariffs a little bit. That way they have a little bit lower tariff. And they also opened their country to free trade, which nobody thought was even a possibility. And we get a zero tariff in the free trade. We don't pay tariffs, and they're going to pay 15% on everything they send into our country. So it's great. But they put up, as you could call it, seed money. Let's call it seed money. You could call it anything you want, but it's a total of $550 billion. So nobody thought any of that was possible. And It's wonderful. And we're doing pretty well with the European Union, likewise. And we have some others. They're all really big, and our country's going to make a lot of money. We would be helped if interest rates would come down, but we're going to see how the board.
It will help if you
rules on
stop
that
stealing
soon.
from the
I'd love
country,
to see it
sir.
come down a lot.
Oh, and leave kids alone.
Country
Oh, I
that's,
can't.
thriving.
I cannot.
We had
I
a dead
cannot.
country 1 year ago. Today we have the hottest.
I cannot. I'm just sorry. I cannot. I cannot. Hold on. I can't. I cannot stomach the lies. I just, Oh my God.
Trump 2 months ago that his name appears in the Epstein files.
He been
The
knowing.
briefing reportedly happened back in May, but just last week, the president appeared to tell reporters that never happened. We should note there is no evidence that President Trump was involved in any wrongdoing or that he knew of Epstein's activities.
Yeah,
Joining
we
us
do.
now is longtime
I believe
Democratic
the victims.
strategist James Carville. He was also the lead strategist for Bill Clinton's 1992 presidential campaign. James, thanks so much for joining us. As you know, the White House says Trump's name being in the Epstein files isn't groundbreaking or surprising. Do you agree with that?
In some ways I do, but there is evidence he knew about it. He said Epstein likes girls, particularly on the younger side. I mean, he was obviously aware, at a minimum, of what Epstein was up to. But anybody, you know, my name could be in an FBI file, your name could be in an FBI file. That doesn't mean anything in itself. And nor is FBI files particularly determinative of anything. But I do agree, just because your name is in a file doesn't mean that you did anything wrong.
That's a good point. That's an important point, and we keep underscoring that here in the Situation Room as well. The Epstein case, as you know, James, is very important to at least a part of Trump's so-called MAGA base. Do you see this as something that could cause real political damage to the president if, in fact, more information is not released?
Well, if you think about it, well, he can't lose any of his base. He clocks in, let's just say, 88 Republicans, maybe 90. You know, he's falling among independents, and 90% of the Democrats don't like it. Well, if he loses even 10% of his Republican support, that's a political catastrophe for him. I mean, he's operating under very small margins here. And they have been told, part of MAGA, and deeply inbred MAGA, is that there's a certain cabal of people who are involved in child sex trafficking. And they've been told to believe this, and they're a little flummoxed now. And Trump is not assuring them in any way or form it does not happen, that he's not part of a coastal elite or Epstein and everything else. So that, yes, he does have some problem with part of his base.
The Trump administration, James, clearly wants to move on from Epstein. The director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, is accusing former President Obama of manufacturing intelligence about Russia's 2016 election interference. And now the Department of Justice is creating a panel to investigate all the evidence. What do you make of this?
Well, President Trump wanted to play golf with President Obama, and President Obama wouldn't even want to play golf with him. So why would he play golf with someone that he thought was treasonous? I mean, look, I don't think the public is going to get distracted from this. And this story has other potential avenues it can go. Remember that Epstein had I think a 7,500-acre ranch in New Mexico. And how do we know that New Mexican authorities are not looking into this? And of course, that would not be subjected to a pardon by Trump. So, I mean, that's another thing to think about here. I mean, there's a lot of different things going on here. But
So that means
that President
now we talking about, okay, T-Sippers, hold on. He's saying Mexico. That's where some of that trafficking was going down at. Hold on.
And how do we know that New Mexican authorities are not looking at potential avenues it can go? Remember that Epstein had I think a 7,500-acre ranch in New Mexico. And how do we know that New Mexican authorities are not looking into this? And of course, that would not be subjected to a pardon by Trump. So, I mean, that's another thing to think about here. I mean, there's a lot of different things going on here. But idea that President Obama was just, let's say he was a traitor, let's say President Clinton was a traitor, Secretary Clinton was a traitor. They're going wrong right now. That's all I can say. It's 4th and 72, and they're trying something.
Hunter Biden, as you know, is very angrily speaking out this week about the 2024 presidential election and the Democrats who called on his father to exit the race, including you. And I want to play a little bit of what he's been saying. Listen to this.
You know what? We are going to insert our judgment over yours. Me and James Carville, who hasn't run a race in 40 years, and David Axelrod, who had one success in his political life, and that was Barack Obama. And that was because of Barack Obama, not because of David Axelrod. And David Plouffe, and all of these guys, and the Pod Save America guys, who were junior speechwriters in, on Barack Obama's Senate staff, who have been dining out on the relationship with him for years, making millions of dollars.
I want to give you a chance to respond to Hunter Biden. Go ahead, James.
First of all, it's 31 years, that's all. Okay, I think, I'm kind of part of an Irish clan and beers too. And I would never blame a guy trying to defend his daddy. I understand that. And if it was the shoes on
I'm
my
sorry.
foot, I did what I thought I had to do. I did it. I didn't enjoy doing it, but I'm not unhappy that I did. And I'm not upset by this. This is a son that's, having a difficult time. Things are emotional, and they say things in all the stuff that's said about me. That's like the 152nd worst thing I've ever heard.
All right, James Carville, thanks very much for joining us as usual. CNN's Elena Treen is here with me in the Situation Room. I want to start with CNN's Ivan Rodriguez. Ivan is over at the Tallahassee courthouse for us. He's on the scene. What do we know, first of all, about Maxwell's expected meeting with the Deputy Attorney General?
Well, Wolf, good morning. It's been a little over 2 hours now since we saw Maxwell's attorney, David Oscar Marcus, walk through the front doors here behind me of this federal house. Both of them are expected to meet, as you said, with Deputy AG Todd Blanche. Now it's unclear, Wolf, if the meeting is already underway, if we're still waiting for Todd Blanche to arrive outside of the federal courthouse here for the last few hours now. No clear indication on my end whether Todd Blanche has already come inside. A clear indicator of the meeting already being over, we'll know, is when we do see Maxwell's attorney exit the front doors here at the federal courthouse. We'll be very interested to see as well what he has to say. He didn't make any comments going into the federal courthouse earlier this morning, but we'll see if he does have anything to say on the exit here from that meeting. And again, Wolf, as we've been reporting, all this comes as a judge declined yesterday to release those grand jury indictments, the grand jury documents from a criminal probe into Ghislaine Maxwell. So a lot of eyes are on what comes out of this meeting here, Wolf, and as well as what Todd Blanche can possibly bring to the table as well.
All right, Ivan Rodriguez on the scene for us down in Tallahassee. Thank you very much. We'll stay in close touch with you. I want to bring in Elena right now. What do we know about the president's name in these unreleased Epstein files?
Yeah, so the Wall Street Journal first broke this news, Wolf, but then I caught up with some sources. And I'd remind you that the Justice Department, one of their key goals when coming into the Trump administration was to go through all of these documents and try to figure out what was in the Epstein files. And what we've learned is the president's name came up several times, multiple times, according to the sources that I talked with for this. Now, we also are learning that when Attorney General Pam Bondi briefed President Donald Trump on this in May, I was told it was a routine briefing, but she told him that his name was in the documents. Now, the White House has been very clear with me in my conversations with officials there that, it was a routine briefing. The scope of that meeting was not solely to tell him that his name was in it. They talked about a lot of things, including how they believe there was a lot of unsubstantiated claims in the documents. There were multiple names of high-profile figures also included in them. But the reason that this is gaining so much attention is because the president himself denied that when asked about it last week. And so much the attention right now, the reason this story has become so monumental and lasting for about 3 weeks now is because people feel like the White House isn't being that transparent about what they actually know is in those documents. And I do want to be clear that just because his name is in there does not mean that there was any wrongdoing. The context of how his name came up is unclear. Like many other high-profile 1990s figures in New York, I mean, he was brushing arms with Epstein. He was an associate of him. That is well documented. And so it's unclear what the context of his name being in there is. The main thing is that, he was told about this and denied it. Now, I do want to read you a statement from one of the officials who I spoke with, one of the White House officials. They told me, quote, "The White House is not surprised by this. Trump's name was present in the binders that Bondi produced and handed out." We also got a statement from the White House Communications Director, Stephen Chung, on this, like a lot of things relating to Epstein, Wolf. He called this fake news. When I talked to the people at the White House, though, about this, they said they're not disputing that his name is in these documents. They're disputing the fact that they believe there's some sort of broader conspiracy, that he was tied up in some sort of wrongdoing associated with Epstein. And so, look, I think going forward, this is not something that's going to quell a lot of the dissatisfaction with a lot of the president's supporters over the handling of this, and just kind of the latest turn of the wheel in everything we're learning about this case.
They were pals. They were friends for many, many years, and that's clear, right?
It is. It's clear. I mean, they did have a very well-documented falling out long before these allegations about Epstein being a sex trafficker or involved in child abuse ever surfaced. So that's why it's not surprising that his name is in these files. It's the main thing is that he lied to reporters when asked if he was told about it.
Interesting point, Aaron. Elena, thank you very much for your excellent reporting. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah, now I want to get down to the nitty and the gritty. I want the nitty and the gritty. New evidence. Let's talk about this. I want new evidence, y'all. I don't want no lies. They don't want us to cover it. That's why they got everybody covering that, him inspecting the federal place.
Democratic Senator Gallegos, he introduced a piece of legislation to produce the Epstein files, release the files. And then immediately thereafter, MAGA Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin jumps in, objects, and Markwayne Mullin says, no, we need to give Donald Trump the cover that he needs. He used the words. The cover that Trump needs. He said the quiet part out loud, or the part we always knew was out loud. Let me take you through what went down. So here is Democratic Senator Gallegos introducing the resolution to release the Epstein files. Let's play that first.
And call the Justice Department to release these files. It is that simple. If there's nothing to hide, then come out and prove it. As if in legislation, and that was 22, I asked unanimous consent of the Committee on Judiciary to discharge from further consideration, and it said now proceed to consideration of SR 325. Further, I asked unanimous consent that the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, and that in the motion to consider be considered made and laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate.
Is there objection?
Mr. President.
Senator from Oklahoma is recognized.
I reserve the right to object.
I reserve the right to object. So you have Senator Gallegos there just basically saying, can we all agree to just vote to release the files? Let's just put it to a vote. And all that kind of procedural language he used is saying, let's not delay this. Let's not kill this stuff in committees. Let's just put it out there. Then Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin comes out and goes, all right, I'm going to object. And now watch what he says. The reason to object. Let's play it.
I don't know, 8 years? I'm sure this would be handled just like any other thing that they've tried to go after, like the baseless impeachments, or the baseless special counsels, or the unbelievable amount of charges they tried to file against the president. I'm sure this would be handled the exact same way. What we're simply wanting to do here is give them cover. So if my colleague from Arizona actually wants transparency, then he would drop his objection to my resolution.
Did you hear him say? He said, we just want to give him cover. All right, let's bring in Democratic Congressmember Brendan Boyle, ranking member on the Budget Committee. We're going to go talk about the budget because right now Donald Trump's approval on the budget is 29%. And I think Americans are sensing the broader cover-ups that are taking place and just that these elites, that these Trumpers are just screwing people on everything. But we start here with, I think, an issue that's highlighted, this Epstein cover-up. We know Donald Trump's connections with Epstein. Trump said it's a great guy who likes women on the younger side. Trump threw parties where it was just him and Epstein, where they brought younger girls there. Donald Trump's all over the files that have been released. Underage girls worked at Mar-a-Lago and then were trafficked by Epstein after they found the underage girls as towel girls at Mar-a-Lago. There's a lot there already. But your colleagues, these Republicans, they're losing their minds with this one, huh?
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear. Donald Trump isn't covering up for the sake of Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump is covering up for the sake of Donald Trump. I mean, it's pretty obvious why he's refusing to release the files, despite always saying that that was something that he would do during the campaign. We now also know, thanks to reporting, that the DOJ and the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, already briefed President Trump and told him his name is repeatedly in the files. How many public photos have we already seen of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein partying together, palling around together? So some of this has been hiding in plain sight for the longest of times. What we already see in public is bad enough. So really makes you wonder what exactly is hidden in those files, that Donald Trump is taking on so much political shrapnel that he's willing to still take all of that incoming, including from some in his MAGA base, but he's still so hell-bent on not releasing those files. It shows you there's something there that he really doesn't want made public.
You know, we're seeing that polling now drop into the 30s when it comes to the budget, which you know something about as the ranking Democrat on the Budget Committee. Trump's at 29%. And, you know, I've had a thesis that, you know, this Epstein cover-up by Donald Trump has kind of finally woken people up to say, oh, I see what's going on. If you're willing to protect yourself and these elite billionaires by hiding these files and you scammed us with that, what else are you scamming us with? The budget, with FEMA, with literally the trade war against the world. But, you know, what do you think right now? Here we are recording this on July 24th, and the American people view Donald Trump's approach to the budget at 29%, like the lowest in history.
Yeah, you know, the polling shows that, and there's a professor, I can't recall the university he's out of, but CNN reported that this professor has compiled all of the polling data going back 50 years on big pieces of legislation. This big, ugly bill that has now become law that will end health care for 15 million Americans, make health care more expensive for tens of millions of more, add trillions to our deficit and debt. That big piece of legislation is, by the numbers, the single most unpopular bill to ever be signed into law by a president. That truly is remarkable. And so the combination of the deep unpopularity of this piece of legislation, newsflash, people really don't like the idea of millions of Americans losing their health care. People really don't like the idea that healthcare costs will dramatically spike for millions more.
You're trying to kill them on a coup.
That, combined with the other bad things this bill does, has made it so deeply unpopular that it's actually historic. And when you combine that with the Trump-Epstein scandal, it helps explain why Donald Trump's approval rating is now in the toilet.
Absolutely.
Don't wear these perfumes if you don't like compliments. Everyone has been talking about perfumes, but
The Trump Epstein scandal, it helps explain why Donald Trump's approval rating is now in the toilet.
Right? It doesn't even seem like these issues are red versus blue anymore. I mean, it truly seems like good versus evil. And the red v. blue were abstractions kind of hoisted upon us to protect the evil, to protect these billionaire, greedy people who were taking, and nothing would satiate their appetite, that has put so many people in positions where they can't afford houses and can't afford groceries. And now with back to school season going to start, do I buy a meal? Can I afford to get my kids, the supplies that they need? And then you have Donald Trump out there with the same way he lies about Epstein, goes, what? We're in a golden age. We are doing great. Inflation is down. The economy is booming. By the way, I just brought in 17, this makes up a number, $1 trillion from the Middle East. And look at all of these. And I think Americans are like, no, you haven't done those things. You're a freaking liar.
Well, if you go back not that long ago, just about 9 months ago.
Big time liar.
The closest presidential elections in our lifetime. My state was decided by just over 1 percentage point in Donald Trump's favor. Nationally, he won the popular vote by about 1 percentage point. The reason why that race went the way it did, more than any other by far, is because swing voters turned toward Trump because they believed that prices were too high, and they believed his empty promises that he would correct that and that he would lower prices.
He just
Well,
lied.
here we are now 7 months into his presidency. Prices aren't lower than what they were last year. They're actually dramatically up.
Yeah.
Amazon prices are up. Target prices are up. Walmart prices are up. Just recently,
Yeah, you can't
my
even
wife
afford
and
to
I
eat.
went with that annual sum.
You cannot afford to eat. Do you understand? Prices are damn near that high. You can't eat. You can't eat how you normally eat. It's like, whoa, okay, the bill is how much? How many items? Shit. It's just horrible,
Our
y'all.
school supplies list that the school gives us that we have to buy for our daughter before she starts a new grade next month.
I don't know what people
we're going
thought.
down the list, making sure she has everything that she needs. Even I did a double take and noticed a bunch of the items jumped in price over last summer when we were buying similar items. So when you
makes no
combine the
sense.
fact that that's the experience of most Americans.
And then he done made people leave the country.
Pass what?
Oh, I don't know
A
what
bill
about.
that actually will strip health care away from millions of Americans, mostly to go toward tax cuts that go to the richest 1%. People who don't follow the day in, day out action of Congress, they get that. There's a certain simplicity in that.
I want to hear about Ghislaine. I don't want to hear about this. 31 minutes ago. Let's go. I want to hear about her. I want to hear about it. I have to buy groceries today. I ain't trying to hear about no groceries. Come on. Long commercial. I got to make sure they get paid, Lord.
AI is going to be a solution to predictive and preventive medicine. We actually are implementing this as I speak.
The Jeffrey Epstein follies continue in Washington, and Republicans are divided and on defense. How did a story like this about the sexual abuser who died in 2019 become so preoccupying in Washington?
Oh yeah, now Satoya, that's absolutely true. I had an old clip, and I don't know where I put it, where he talked about getting even. He talked about he likes getting even. He's very vindictive. So he made it a point to come back and get everyone who could have helped him in some degree and didn't. I said, this mother. So you're right.
From the opinion pages of the Wall Street Journal, this is Potomac Watch.
That's our subject for today of Potomac Watch, the daily podcast of Wall Street Journal opinion pages. I'm Paul Gigot, the editor of those pages, and I am here with my distinguished colleagues, Kate Batchelder Odell and Kyle Peterson.
Come on, talk
Welcome
about
to
what's
you
going
both. Now, on
on.
one hand, I really can't believe we're talking about this story because it really is an old story resurrected by Republican bumbling. On the other
Okay,
hand,
so
it
this
is a
was
talk
10
of
minutes
the
ago.
Beltway, and it has caused
Hold
our
on,
speaker
something was 10 minutes ago.
remarkably
I'm
to
trying to
adjourn the
get
House
to
for the
what's going
summer.
on right now. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm all over the place, but I'm trying to get the tea of what happened.
You're watching the Legal Breakdown, Glenn. We've got major news right now, and that is the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche is currently meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell and her attorneys in federal prison. And so the question swirling around right now is that if the DOJ is meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell before Congress has the ability to speak with Ghislaine Maxwell, what do they have the ability to do if, for example, Maxwell might have information that compromises the President of the United States?
So, Brian, by sending one of Donald Trump's former criminal defense attorneys,
Right.
Todd Blanche, now Deputy Attorney General, to the prison to see Ghislaine Maxwell, what they have the opportunity to do is mold her story in a way that doesn't incriminate Donald Trump. Because, let's get down to brass tacks. Trump put people like Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche and Emil Beauvais into the highest positions at the Department of Justice to be loyal to him, to take care of him, to protect him,
Right.
and to do his bidding as necessary. Remember, Todd Blanche went into court every day in New York when Donald Trump was being criminally prosecuted for committing 34 felony crimes. And Todd Blanche every day looked that jury in the eye and said, Donald Trump committed no crimes. Right. That's not a criticism of Todd Blanche's decision to be a criminal defense attorney and do what defense attorneys are obligated to do, represent the interests of their client, even when their client is guilty as sin, as Donald Trump was. But that was his job. That was his mission. That was his purpose. Now, he's still loyal to Donald Trump. And he is the one, a high government official, not a DOJ lawyer or prosecutor, but a political appointee who used to be Donald Trump's defense attorney, is going to go and sit down with Ghislaine Maxwell. Do you really think, Brian, is there anybody gullible enough to believe that Todd Blanche is going to be like, listen, we need you to truthfully tell us about any information that might incriminate my boss, Donald Trump? Of course not. So here's the problem. They will get to mold whatever it is Ghislaine Maxwell says in a way that doesn't incriminate Donald Trump. And once they lock her into that account by promising her something in return, let me tell you, this is what we do as prosecutors when we sit down with somebody who's been charged with a crime, indicted for a crime, convicted for a crime, sentenced for a crime, and is looking for a benefit from the prosecutors, from the government. We sit down with them and we say, okay, what truthful information do you have about the crimes of others that we may be able to use to investigate and hold accountable other folks who have committed crimes? And Brian, if and only if somebody in Ghislaine Maxwell's position provides what we can corroborate is truthful information about the crimes of others, will we ever consider giving them a benefit for that information? But as you can imagine, people like Ghislaine Maxwell, who are serving 20-year prison terms, have every incentive to say anything that they believe.
And she's already been found guilty of perjury before.
Like Todd Blanche sitting in front of them wants to hear. Why? Because they have the power to reduce her sentence or ask a court to reduce her sentence, and they have the power to say, we will ask the president to pardon you if you say the right things. I'm being cynical here, but come on. Can you really believe that the folks who are loyal to Donald Trump are going to act in good faith as honest brokers of the facts if those facts incriminate Donald Trump? And Brian, once she's locked into whatever story she and Todd Blanche agreed to in this little sit down they're going to have, then Congress can certainly subpoena her, can have her testify under oath about all things Epstein, including any Donald Trump involvement with Epstein. And she's already going to be locked in. She's going to have to stick to the script that Todd Blanche, put before her if she's going to come out unscathed and get the benefits that Donald Trump's DOJ might promise her. All of this is theoretical right now because the meeting hasn't, happened yet. But let me add this. First of all, rarely do we, prosecutors, Department of Justice, lawyers, do business with somebody who has been convicted, sentenced, and is serving a lengthy prison term. You know why? Because we give these people every incentive to cooperate with prosecutors during the investigation before they're ever indicted. Or after they've been indicted, we sit down with the defendant and their defense attorney. Mind you, we always have an FBI agent or a detective or an investigator in there with us as well, so we can accurately record every single word that is spoken. What we don't want to see happen is have somebody say, well, the prosecutors promised this person something under the table that was never documented. So there are always witnesses accurately recording every word that goes on in these kind of meetings. But the point is, usually we try to bring a cooperating witness on board before they go to trial, before they're sentenced, and before they're serving 20 years in prison. But once they are convicted and serving that sentence, rarely do prosecutors go back to them and say, now we want you to cooperate. I say rarely because sometimes we do it if we believe that that person can provide truthful information about the crimes of a significantly bigger fish. So it does happen, but it happens rarely. But this whole thing is part of the ongoing Donald Trump, Pam Bondi reality show that we can probably call the Epstein files. And the whole thing, these are all maneuvers to try to cover up and protect Donald Trump.
Well, it's worth asking here, if Pam Bondi has a story about Donald
High
Trump,
rising Phoenix.
what about when the House has been able to compel the release of the Epstein files? We found out yesterday that there was a vote 8-2 in an oversight committee subcommittee compelling the release of these files to that committee. And so if Pam Bondi decides to say something in accordance with whatever new story she and Todd Blanche put together, what happens if that's directly refuted by something that the files themselves say?
Well, what will happen is, okay, so let's play this out. So the files say something about Donald Trump that Ghislaine Maxwell would have reason to know because she lived it. She is Jeffrey Epstein's convicted co-conspirator in this criminal endeavor to sex traffic young girls, right? So let's assume that she then testifies before Congress inconsistently with what Congress now has in its hands, the Epstein files from the Department of Justice. That could result in Ghislaine Maxwell being criminally indicted for perjury, more accurately, what we call a 1001 false statement to Congress. It's the equivalent of perjury, lying under oath. In theory, but who would bring that charge? Pam Bondi's Department of Justice.
Right, and by the way, even if she was charged because the DOJ wanted to save face, Trump still has the ability to offer her a pardon, which is the issue at hand with all of this right now, is that she kind of had, if she strikes some deal with Todd Blanche today while they're speaking from her prison cell, then she could be promised a pardon in very much the same way that if she lies and gets caught, she can also be pardoned for that.
Exactly right. Trump holds all the cards when it comes to issuing presidential pardons, even to cover up his own criminal activity. Thank you, 6 Supreme Court justices who are forever apparently trying to protect a criminal president. But a couple of other things regarding Ghislaine Maxwell's potential testimony before Congress. If we go back to the scenario of, well, what if there's something in the Epstein files that is directly contradicted by what Ghislaine Maxwell testifies to before Congress? Brian, is there anybody out there who is completely confident that when the Department of Justice, Donald Trump's Department of Justice, as headed up by Pam Bondi, complies with the subpoena to give all Epstein files to Congress, do you really think they're going to give the portions of the Epstein files to Congress that might incriminate Donald Trump? I think that very unlikely. At best, it's an open proposition. And one final thing, just the fact that a political appointee like Todd Blanche, the number 2 official at the Department of Justice, the Deputy Attorney General, is going to go sit down with a convicted sex trafficker. I don't know if that has never happened in our nation's history, but it sure wouldn't surprise me, because you know who sits down with people who have been convicted of significant crimes and are serving lengthy sentences? One person.
It's going to have to be the Supreme Court that stands the ground.
In the case, as assisted and accompanied by FBI agents, detectives, investigators,
and
make sure everything
have
is
the
accurately
integrity
captured in that meeting. And there's a reason that the lead prosecutor is the one to sit down with the person who she prosecuted, and by she, I'm talking Maureen Comey here. It's because that is the only person who can look Ghislaine Maxwell in the eye when she's saying X, Y, and Z.
That's
about
why
what
he
Donald
fired
Trump
her.
Did or didn't do, and that person,
I try to
the lead
tell y'all,
prosecutor, is the
Miami
one
was
who
coming.
will know, because she's privy to all of the evidence in the Epstein and Maxwell cases.
But who
whether
is
Ghislaine Maxwell
leaking?
is telling the truth?
Who is
or whether she
leaking
is
gems?
lying. Todd Blanche will have no fucking idea what Ghislaine Maxwell is saying, though I'm sure he'll be satisfied to receive any information that helps clear Donald Trump. This thing stinks from the perspective of a career law enforcement agent, a career prosecutor. This whole thing stinks from start to finish. And it looks like an orchestration to try to again fool the gullible into believing that Donald Trump did nothing wrong.
He is a
Then would you
pedophile.
say that that's why the DOJ felt it was so necessary to sprint over to Ghislaine Maxwell right now?
Absolutely.
I mean, they're doing this under the guise of transparency, right? But if they really wanted transparency, if that's where truly
They would wait.
they sought to offer, they could just release the files. Pam Bondi has the files at her disposal, and so they say that they want transparency. The proof of that would be Pam Bondi actually offering up the files that are in her possession right now. But instead, they say they want transparency, and they're going to go to Ghislaine
No,
Maxwell.
because they want to be able to say what was the word that they used that appeared to be. Oh, what was the word? Not critical, crucial. Some word. They want to be able to say that it has some relevance. And they're going to always say that it's not relevant.
Do you think that there was a reason that the DOJ sprinted over to Maxwell before Congress had the ability to do that? Because once Congress has her on record answering questions about Donald Trump, that would be the story, and it would already be documented from Congress's side. So then Todd Blanche wouldn't be able to manipulate her story in any way or get what he needs from her, which is her silence as it relates to Donald Trump.
Yeah, by all accounts, assessing the information that we have available to us, this sprint to Maxwell, as you aptly put it, is to do two things. One, to head Congress off at the pass so they can craft Ghislaine Maxwell's message so that it, does not implicate Donald Trump. And two, to continue to try to fool the gullible. Because, and I haven't even talked about this because this is perhaps the worst possible outcome, but Todd Blanche could sit down with Ghislaine Maxwell. He could then emerge from that meeting and say, everybody, not only did Ghislaine Maxwell not implicate Donald Trump, you know what she said? That Epstein's client list consists of 100 high-profile Democrats. That's what Ghislaine Maxwell told us, which, that's when I think there will be this deafening clamor for a release of all of the Epstein files. Because, Brian, let's think about this.
Come back saying it was Barack.
If the Epstein files cleared Donald Trump and implicated a bunch of Democrats,
Cat Black, that is not true.
Don't you think Pam Bondi would have released it the
Cat
minute
Black.
she took office? How gullible do they think
Why would
we
you
are?
come over here?
Right. So let's finish off with
Do
this.
you know where you are? Cat Black. You new here? Are you new here? Are you new here? Why would you come over here and lie and make up something to create a narrative? Where is that evidence? I need for you to send that evidence to my IG. But until then, please don't come over here dropping narratives that's not true. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and remove that for you. Took you too long to retract it. You need to know where you are. This is not a place where you can just come and drop of these stage lying-ass narratives to get the heat out for Trump. Please don't come over here lying, because I'm going to embarrass you. Okay? Know where you are. Yeah, I mean, you make excuses. You trifling. You trifling thinking. You think it's okay just to come over and create a narrative of lies to cover a predator. I was trying to be cool, boo. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because I'm going to hurt your feelings. Now, I'm going to remove it, but don't drop no lies over here. I pay attention to my comments real close. I watch it with my good eye. Okay? And all that lying and fake propaganda shit don't work here. Okay? Ugh. How much he pay you for that? Is it? Ugh. Ugh. I'm not in one of them type of moods today. I'm going to tell you that shit now. Come over here lying. With no damn PDF filer.
Maxwell's appellate attorney is a guy named David Oscar Marcus. He was on a podcast last year with the Deputy Attorney General and former Trump criminal defense attorney Todd Blanche. And Blanche said to Marcus, "You are by far the best out there. I now consider you a friend." And so what does having a cozy personal relationship between the Deputy Attorney General and Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney, what does that tell us about the ease with which they might be able to enter into some agreement that, you know, if everything was above board, if these guys weren't chummy or personal friends, might not be so easy?
Yeah, it feels like a possible conflict of interest. I would need to know more about the nature of the relationship between the two attorneys. But here's the thing, Brian, whether there's an actual conflict or just an appearance of conflict that undermines the confidence that the people should have in the way DOJ lawyers are going about their business, that person shouldn't come within a mile of the case. Now, would it surprise me if these two, are thick as thieves, figuratively speaking, and that makes crafting Maxwell's story in a way that doesn't harm Donald Trump all the easier? It could very well be. But what I will also say is that, look, as a career prosecutor, I had defense attorneys that I considered to be friends, even though I would go into court and do battle with them all the time, and then we would be civil and cordial and shake hands at the end of the trial, and that didn't conflict me out of a case in which they were representing the defendant. But, it can be a close call, and when there's a close call, you don't want to be, in an adversarial relationship with somebody that you've publicly said is a good friend of yours. So, listen, that is probably the fifth reason why Todd Blanche shouldn't go anywhere near Ghislaine Maxwell. But, ethics are out the window. And I've been saying all along, and I've been watching this in real time, There is not only a brain drain from the Department of Justice with all the DOJ career people, attorneys who have been there for years, fleeing the Department of Justice rather than doing Pam Bondi, Donald Trump, and Todd Blanche's dirty work. There's also an ethics drain, not just a brain drain. The folks who take their ethical obligations to represent the interests of the American people seriously, rather than the interests of a corrupt president, are fleeing the Department of Justice because they can't work under those conditions. So, you know, this is going to be ugly all the way around. And I, for one, will have absolutely no confidence in anything Todd Blanche says about what Ghislaine Maxwell reported.
So in other words, it's gonna get prepared for the bull crap.
Sit down. We will of course bring it to you for those.
Yeah, I'll be back, y'all. I'll be back. I'll be back when they come back with what was really said at this sit down. Cause right now they just kind of stalling and they showing us this shit at the reserve, where he done already got busted. Imagine that. I definitely was not expecting to see him get busted lying, adding another building to the cost. Hi, Clara. Adding another building. Trying to set a pile. Just trifling. See, you brought up Barack and you got your ass brought to you. He ain't said Barack all day today, have he? Now he gonna say something now, but I'm just saying, thus far all day, he didn't put on his orange. He ain't feel like doing nothing but sitting a pile. He done went from here to there to there. Now he on pile. He's saying this shit. Some gotta work. Some gotta stick. And I'm beginning to think somebody in his house working with somebody in the out house. Somebody in the in-house working with somebody on the out-house to burn that whole house on down. That's what it's looking like, baby. Because when I tell you something is dropping every day, all day. I don't know why I have been so tired. I was supposed to be on vacation today, y'all. So if my energy, that's why I don't have no patience for you coming over here with that bull crap today. I'm just, today ain't the day. And it may not be all week until I can get out of town. Well, hell, I'm scared to go out of town. I'm scared to get in the water. I'm scared of I ain't scared. Let me correct that, but you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm still tripping about Malcolm Jamal Warner, finding out his daughter was there, and finding out that they was doing surfing lessons, him and his daughter. That's a hard one. I hear people say that all the time. This is a hard one for real. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is really a hard one. This is really a hard one. And Glorilla got arrested. But I don't know why people are so surprised. Didn't she get arrested last year? Didn't they pull her over? Car was smoke coming all out the car. She did a little strange U-turn in the middle of the street. Was that last year or the year before last? She was leaving some award show. Y'all remember that? And then she tried to flash the guy her nip. She tried to pull the old Janet Jackson. Y'all don't remember that? And then she said, oh, my bad, And she lost a pink diamond. Wasn't that Glorilla? And she's like, you don't know who I am for real. I'm Glow. Y'all know I ain't gonna act right, whether I feel good or not. Yeah. Since she done got arrested again, so what's the big deal? She done been arrested before. Right? Unless there's more to it. Anyway, I'll come back. Break down, Glenn. Once they come back, give me a little rest. I don't know what this is going on. But I'll be back, y'all. Y'all have a good one.